Hi, this is Mike Fauché, aka PC Doc. I'd like to walk through a short video here on how to set up an FTP server on your Windows Home Server 2011. There's a couple things you got to do before you actually activate the service and create the FTP. So let's first start off by going into the server manager. And the very first thing you want to do is you want to create a users group. And I do this up front because when you create the actual site, it's easier to assign the user group right up front. So let's go ahead and create new group, and we'll call it guys. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of users here. So I'm just going to say, put in my test account here, and let's add the admin. Click OK. You've got your users, you've got your user group. Hit create, and you're done. As you can see, there's the FTP guys. I didn't bother with a description, although you should go ahead and add a description. And we're basically all set to go there. So the next thing we want to do is let's create a destination. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the computer, go to my local drive, and I've already created an FTP test site. So I'm going to go ahead and use that one. So if you don't have one at this point, go ahead and create one. Okay, the next thing we want to do at this point is to actually go into roles. We're going to go into web server. We're going to go into internet information and scroll down to the bottom, and where you'll see basically all of the role services. At that point, you're going to see FTP server. And if it's not installed, you'll go ahead, which by default it is not, you'll need to go ahead and click on add roles and go ahead and scroll down until you see it. Since mine's already installed, it's grayed out. You should have a check mark on it. Go ahead and click OK and walk your way through the rest of the wizard. That will go ahead and install the role. So when you're done, it should look something like this, where you have the FTP server and FTP services installed. At that point, you're ready to create your FTP access. So let's go ahead and click on, let me spread this out a little bit so we can see a little better. Let's go ahead and click on Internet Information Services. Here we see our actual server, which this is called a test server. And you can see here under sites, we're going to go actually create a new site. So we're going to right click and click add FTP site. We're going to name the site whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call it Mike. And the physical path, we're going to actually point to that drive that we created. And go ahead and click OK. And we're going to hit next. Now at this point, you're going to leave your IP address unassigned. You don't want to limit the IP addresses coming into the FTP. You're going to make sure that Start FTP is checked, and you're going to click on Allow SSL, and you're going to click on Next. For authentication, you're going to click on Basic, and this is where we're going to set the users group. So we're going to head and say, go ahead and pick users group, and we're going to put FTP guys. That's the one we created, and we're going to go ahead and give it read and write access, or just read, depending on what you're trying to do with the FTP. And at this point, we click finish. When you're done, you should have something that looks like this, where you see your site name. You see that the service has been started. It's an FTP site, and it shows you the port number. At this point, you've basically created your FTP site. The only thing that you need to do at this point is to go into your router, do port forwarding on port 21 to the IP address of your server, a domain, or from your IP address from your internet provider, and you're good to go. You should be able to now access your FTP site. Hope you found this helpful.